Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. There we go. That's the green I'm looking for. Good, good. I think it's working now. And we are officially live on YouTube. Thought I would mix it up a little bit. And a long time ago, I said I would start doing like occasional YouTube streams just to remind new people of the fact that we do live content regularly. So to give them a taste, basically, of what we have to offer over on what's it called, Twitch. We'd mix it up and try it on YouTube just every once in a while, not super regular, but I thought I would do it on occasion. It is the largest platform I have, so why not make sure you keep that presence somewhat fulfilled. Anyway, what's going on, people? How are you? What's your favorite phone of the 21st century? Oh, okay, thank God. We can exclude all of those 20th century phones, like those rotary phones. Those were my favorite, but if you're going to just exclude it to the 21st century, yeah, probably whatever the latest iPhone is. How many towels do I have? That's a random question, but this is a random live stream. Hey, Viper, what's up? Love your content. Keep it up. Thank you. Are you genuinely excited for WWDC this year? I think every year I'm pretty genuinely excited because unlike the iPhone event coming later, there's a lot we don't know about. There's a ton of leaks and predictions we have for iOS 13, watchOS, and macOS, but still a lot of that is very difficult to verify. So I guess that's why when it comes to Worldwide Developers Conference, I'm very interested to see how things go. Plus, there's a possibility that oh, that's all off. Sorry, I forgot. There's little pop-ups when people donate. That's cool. Let me put that over here. Thank you for the super chat. There's a lot of things we don't know. Plus, there's a chance we could see the modular Mac Pro and the standalone Apple monitor. I don't know if you guys know this, but Apple has stopped selling their LG ultrafine monitors on the Apple Store, which the 4K one is gone, the 5K one is gone, which is making a lot of people think maybe they're clearing out the old ultrafine monitors to get ready for their own Apple standalone monitor that they're making themselves. That Quo claims is going to be 6K and 32 inches. Some people think it's going to be ultra wide. Very curious to see how that ends up going. So, yeah, there's a lot of like uncertainties, which I guess is what usually makes me excited for an event, is not knowing what's going to happen. Whereas the iPhone event, obviously, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to stream my reaction to it and everything, but we know basically everything about the next-gen iPhones. We can just basically watch the event and hopefully go, please, iPhones don't get more expensive. Let's just keep it at that. But anyway, the super chat says, Connected Tech, how is the vegetarian challenge going? So yeah, for those of you who don't know, who don't watch Tailosive Talks, me and my wife are trying to not eat meat for a certain period of time. I'm going back to meat later this month. But yeah, it's going good. I really don't notice it, but it's been fun experimenting with different foods that I wouldn't normally eat. I've never gone this far without eating meat before because I usually love meat and I eat meat a lot. But yeah, kind of not having it just gives you new perspective and lets you try new things. But yeah, as soon as July 1st comes around, I'm going to McDonald's immediately. So yeah, no, this could be a tech straight. You guys can ask whatever you want. I know I'm on Tailosive Tech, so I'll answer mostly tech questions too because I figured that's what most of them are going to be. How do you deal with privacy issues when using Android devices? Well, clearly, you just need to wrap tape around the microphone in both cameras. That way they can't see anything. No, honestly, privacy is important, and I think it's important that companies by default have that enabled, and you have to go out of your way to remove certain privacy measures. Whereas that's typically how Apple does, which is like, that's typically how Apple does it. Like when you set up an iPhone, it's like, do you want to share data with app developers to enlighten the experience, or do you want to just leave that off and not help them and just keep things private? So, yeah, it kind of depends on the person which one you prefer, but I have no secrets. I don't really care that much about privacy personally. I think it absolutely needs to be something enabled by default, but for me personally, it doesn't bother me that much. I know that companies probably have a huge online library of all the things I've ever purchased or my browser history, and they've seen all that, and I don't really care. It doesn't really bug me. It's one of those things that maybe my generation or the generations coming after me don't really care that much about that amount of privacy, so they're just like, whatever. I'll do it. I'll put up with it. If I could get a service that's free, even if it compromises my security. I don't really mind that much, but do I like to cook? Sometimes. Not a whole lot, though. Will you get Apple TV Plus? I don't think so. I feel like it's one of those Apple subscription services like Apple News Plus that's just going to annoy me. Like, Apple News Plus now annoys the crap out of me because anytime I'm using the Apple News app, I'm constantly seeing these articles and I'm browsing, and then I'll see one I want to read. I tap on it, and it ends up being a News Plus article. It's like, just subscribe for $10 a month. And I'm like, oh, God, no. And there's always ads. You're browsing through Apple News Plus, and then a little ad pops up that says, oh, by the way, you can subscribe to Apple News Plus. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. Stop shoving it in my face. And it's all over the place. So that definitely gets annoying. Would you upgrade to the latest iPad or wait till next year's model? Well, I'm a Pro user. I like the Pro Motion. I like Face ID, and I'm using my iPad Pro right now. Actually, it's right here. And there's several reports claiming there's not going to be an iPad Pro refresh, which makes sense given the last 3 iPad Pros have been every 18 months. They're not something that get refreshed every 12 months. It's usually every year and a half. So it makes sense that we wouldn't get one in 2019, but we could get one midway, maybe around this time next year, around Worldwide Developers Conference in 2020. Wow, it's going to be the 20s again. Does that sound weird? But yeah, I think there's not a whole lot they can do with the iPad Pro line. I'm sure there's going to be more budget iPads. There's a pretty reliable leaker that claims there's going to be a 10.2-inch iPad coming potentially at the Worldwide Developers Conference, like an update to the 2018 budget iPad with a little bit thinner bezels and an updated CPU, but it'll still be like $330 to be a bit more affordable. So what are they going to do with the Pro line? I don't know. Maybe make it thicker so it doesn't bend as easily or get rid of the camera module or something like that. I'm not really sure where they can go with it. But yes, you guys can assume the Apple sheep when a new iPad comes out, I'm most likely going to get it if it's from the Pro line. The budget iPads, I don't have much of a need or interest in those. I'll talk about them. I'll report on them. But as for my personal use, the iPad Pro is more than enough. It's overkill for my daily tasks. So, yeah, I'll stick with the Pro for a while. Should I get new AirPods or wait for fall? As I've said in my previous AirPods videos, the main thing that matters is what your current set of headphones are, because to me, like, waiting for the next generation AirPods is it's a big gamble because we have a lot of theories and we have a lot of rumors about what the next AirPods are going to be, but we don't have a lot set in stone. So here's the bad case scenario if you end up waiting, because I get why people want to wait. They want to be like, okay, look, new AirPods just came out and I'm thinking about getting them, but what if I wait and I can get better AirPods for the same price later this year if I just wait another like 6 or 5 months or so, and then I can get the AirPods 3 and they'll have better features for the same price and yada yada. I save money. That would be great. That's a good case scenario if you could wait and save money. But imagine if you waited all this time and then it turns out the leaks and rumors were wrong, and now you just waited 6 to 7 months and there's no new AirPods with the new iPhone. And you could have bought the AirPods 2 when they were brand new. Now you're buying the AirPods 2 half a year later, and that ended up being dated. So there's a good chance of both. There's a good chance for either one. It's not all leaning one way. It's not all leaning the other way. So what it basically breaks down to is, okay, there's a bad case scenario. There's a good case scenario. How bad are your headphones now? Do you have any wireless headphones at all? Are you just using included Apple EarPods? Like, how bad is the situation for you currently? If it's really, really bad, you don't have any wireless headphones, you hate your current headphones, or you don't even have working ones except the ones that come with your phone, then I would say go ahead, get the AirPods 2, because then at least for the next 6 months, you're going to have wireless headphones. And when the new ones come out, maybe they're a little bit better, but hey, still, you had half a year of using wireless headphones instead of the disappointment and the feeling of stupidity if you didn't buy them for 6 months and then nothing came out. That would just feel ridiculous. When is the Mac Pro getting refreshed? Well, there's a good chance it's getting refreshed at the Worldwide Developers Conference, though we don't know. There's a possibility that we'll get a sneak peek of it, but they won't put it up for sale until the end of the year. So it's kind of up in the air right now. It's not for sure set like other events. Like, there's going to be a new iPhone in September. There's going to be a new Apple Watch come September. There's certain things we kind of have set in stone. The modular Mac Pro, we're kind of like, maybe later this year, maybe at June. I think it would make sense to release it in June because it's the developer conference. And the Mac Pro is definitely for developers. It's for pros. It's for people who develop things and need a lot of processing power. So to me, it would make a lot of sense to do what they did with the iMac Pro. If you guys remember, back in June 2017, that's when they unveiled the iMac Pro, though you couldn't buy it until later that year in December, which is what I'm streaming on right now. And the modular Mac Pro, that's something that would make the most amount of sense. Just repeat what they did in 2017. Unveil it in June and then start selling it in December. And that could be interesting. So, yeah, I hope we see it in the next upcoming weeks, but we probably won't get 100% of the details on it. It's going to be more of a sneak peek. Like, we don't know all the configurations. We just know the starting price. We don't know all the other prices. So it depends. I use audiophile headphones. I find the headphone jack needed to get good wireless headphones. It's going to send me back to like $400, $1,000. It's going to cost you to get good wireless headphones. Well, you kind of do notice those people who use audiophile headphones. It's less likely that you're going to notice that kind of thing on a smartphone, which is why I think Apple was okay with removing the jack on the iPhones, is because the majority of things you're listening on there is just like basic music streaming or videos off of YouTube. You're not doing like audio editing mixing on the smartphone. So if you just switch over to wireless there, the amount of differences noticed is very, very low. So, yeah. David Ken super chatted possibility of a major iMac refresh and redesign in 2020. There haven't been a ton of leaks. There haven't been a ton of reports to suggest that. We just got an iMac refresh, so if anything, that says that a iMac redesign is probably a little bit away from right now, just because we got the CPU upgrades and the GPU upgrades in the 2019 iMacs that are good, but everyone, I think, anonymously agrees like the design of the iMacs need a refresh. They are not in a they're not in a good place aesthetically right now, just because they've looked the same for so many years. It's been almost like 6-7 years now. iMac designs have barely changed. So, will there be another one in 2020? I hope so. Let's just leave it at that. I really, really hope so, but I haven't heard much from Quo. I haven't heard much from Gurman or any number of leakers or people who report on this kind of stuff have said that's coming up. But my God, constantly asking, should I buy an Xbox One S right now? No, you seem too curious about it. If you're spamming the question in the chat, obviously you don't know for sure if you want it. Oh my God. If Apple were to make a foldable phone, what changes would you make from the Galaxy Fold Huawei Mate X? I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of the foldables, because there's certain laws of physics you can't get around between the crease, between the plastic. I don't care if there's some patent on a foldable glass that doesn't change that. Even if it's made of glass, by the way, there's fundamental physics that prevent you from being able to fold something repeatedly and being able to crease it, and being able to avoid that crease and have a physical one down the middle. It's going to affect the durability of the product long term. So I don't exactly know what I could change to the Fold or the Huawei to make it better design-wise, other than just maybe remove the notch. But I mean, Apple hasn't even taken that drastic measures to remove the notch on the iPhone. But I've said before, I don't think Apple will make a foldable phone. I really don't. I don't think it's a market that they're going to deem worth it. Of all companies that might make foldable phones, Apple's probably the company that would say, nah, not worth it. We're just going to skip out on that. Just like Apple never made a 2-in-1. They never made an iPad MacBook combo. You know, all they focused on was making iPads as good as they could and making iPhones as good as they could. So to me, it makes more sense that they wouldn't try to make some awkward hybrid device. So yeah, I personally I personally think it would make more sense if they just kept them separate. But all I would really ask they change is is something that I think everyone inevitably can understand, is the fact that a foldable iPhone would have an iPad operating system when folded out and an iPhone operating system when folded up. And I think that by default, even though I think foldables are fundamentally flawed, that by default would make Apple's foldable the best one, just because they're the only company that truly gets tablets right compared to Huawei. Name all of their best-selling tablets out there. Not that many. Or Samsung, they have tablets, but they're nowhere near as major, and they're nowhere near as popular as iPad sales. And iPad sales have actually been going up recently because Apple gets that tablet market. They get how to handle the operating system on a touch-dominant interface. So I just feel like, again, I don't think they will. But if Apple did make one, it would probably be better than the others, mostly because of the software. The hardware is fundamentally flawed from the get-go, and I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if there's a way to avoid that. I really don't. Any thoughts on the iPhone 11R? Super chat from Crispy Productions. Thank you very much. I think it's awkward. The design of it looks bizarre, but again, the number of the people who the primary audience for the iPhone 10R were people who aren't tech enthusiasts, who don't watch my channel, who don't watch live streams like this. There's not the kind of things that they would notice. Like my issue with it is like the camera module on the back looks so weird. It's like, what, you only have two cameras, but why does it need to be this whole square design? Why are they ditching the blue color? Why are they doing green and lavender? Like, it's all weird to me, but to me, Apple probably knows much more about that market than we do, because to us it doesn't make sense. We're like, why would someone get that? It's like such a low pixel density. Well, it's probably because not that many people in the average market care. So similar with the iPhone design on the back with the camera module looking all bizarre, I bet the majority of the market for the 10R doesn't care. So I think it's weird, but I think personally Apple gets this market a lot better than we do, and they know what they're going to care about. So it'll probably be a smash hit. It'll probably outsell the iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Max. I imagine so. I bet it'll sell really, really well, and it'll probably prioritize a lot of features that a ton of users care about. So, yeah, I think it'll sell reasonably well. I think in the grand scheme of things, the smartphone market is still pretty much declining, but yeah, the 11R will probably sell just as good as the 10R did. For all the people who skipped out on the 10R waiting for another year, they either have an iPhone 8 or they have an iPhone 7, and the 10R didn't look like a big enough upgrade for them. And then the iPhone 11R will come out, and they'll be like, okay, my old phone's getting too old. I have a bit more money saved up, so that's probably when a lot of people are going to end up upgrading. Are you going to be buying the iPhone 11 or the 11 Max? I'm a big phone guy. I like big phones. I'm rocking the 10s Max right now, so I'm definitely going with the 11 Max. I think I'll get the 256 gig option. I think that would be good for me. Project Nova says, do you like my Tesla review? Thank you for the super chat, and I've seen a lot of Tesla reviews, so I'm going to have to catch up on yours, but thank you for the donation. Got a $5 donation here. Thank you very much to Josh LaRose, who is the top donor of the live stream so far, who says, thoughts on the 11-inch iPad Pro? I'm thinking about getting it for reading music, and I always thought the 12.9-inch was too cumbersome. Love the vids. It's definitely a personal preference thing. I don't think the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is that bad. To me, this is like the perfect size, just because you can basically run two full-size iPad apps simultaneously by each other, and it rivals that more of like a MacBook display in regards to screen size. So to me, the 13-inch is good. The one thing to keep in mind about the 11-inch iPad Pro is it's not a 4:3 aspect ratio, so if apps aren't updated, it can look a little bizarre. It's kind of the oddball. I think it's the only iPad without a 4:3 aspect ratio, which I don't know why they decided to do that. They just wanted it to have the same footprint as the 10.5-inch iPad, but that made it a little taller, which kind of threw people off. They were kind of confused by that. So, no, it's perfectly good iPad. I think it's very affordable, and there's no I'm not saying it's a cheap iPad. I'm just saying there's no other tablet experience that can replicate the iPad Pro for cheaper. You're not going to be able to find a tablet with a ProMotion display with biometric like Face ID and the A12X chip and Apple Pencil 2 support. You're not going to get that experience for cheaper elsewhere. So to me, the iPad Pro is very, very decent. I think you'll like it for reading music. yeah, I'd say it's a good investment even right now, even though it came out a while ago. iPad Pro is probably not going to get refreshed for a good long while, so I'd say go for it. And now we have a new super chat leader, Anon, who has now donated the biggest super chat of the stream. Thank you very much. Who says, "Do you think Apple will ever make an iPhone with a curved display like Samsung has been doing?" I hope not. I'm not a fan of curved displays. It's just a personal preference thing. I actually wish Samsung would go back to just having the flat edges. But technically, the iPhone 10 display does curve around and attach underneath. So it's not that drastic, but technically, yes, all iPhone 10 models, except the 10R, have displays that curve underneath on the bottom. But yeah, I know that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about the visual curve. I imagine Apple is testing those kinds of things internally and finding out that a lot of consumers don't like them, and that's why they're not going for them. Whereas Samsung doing the curved displays on their phones, to me, felt more like, we can do this. It looks cool. Therefore, we're going to implement it, and they never really got a wide array of people to test it and give their feedback on it for them to realize, oh, wait, maybe not a ton of people love it. Some people definitely like it, but I think a ton of people actually don't love it. So, yeah, I personally hope they don't. To me, I always end up setting the display off on accident. Whenever I have a curved display, I'm worried I'm going to have that with the OnePlus 7 Pro. By the way, guys, for those who don't know, I did order a OnePlus 7 Pro. It's supposed to get here on Tuesday, so expect an unboxing there. I'm excited to try it out, especially the 90 hertz display, but the curved edges, I'm not crazy about. I'm not a big fan of that feature. What are your thoughts on a HomePod 2 or something like a refresh? I think they need one, but what's more important is a software update to the current HomePods, because there are a lot of issues people have with the HomePods, mainly the price point and also the limitations in connectivity. So with a HomePod 2, all they really need to focus on is making it more affordable and making more connection options. But again, that has nothing to do with the current generation HomePod. Like, the current generation HomePod has Bluetooth built into it. It has the ability, if they wanted to, they could give it the ability to work through Spotify or work through different services and stuff like that. But they don't give it that because the HomePod is like an Apple sheep love letter. They just want Apple Music subscribers. So they created a benefit to switching to Apple Music. Well, you have HomePod support. So yeah, and I'm rocking the HomePod shirt now. I like them personally. I enjoy the HomePods. They sound good to me. But I completely understand why they flopped. I completely understand why they're a very small percentage of the market. I would be very curious to see. I'd be totally curious to see a HomePod Mini or something that's way more affordable. I'd like to see where they would go with that and how that would handle in the market. But Siri is also a big problem. People don't like Siri because Google Assistant's smarter. We've all heard that one. XGod super chatted $2 twice. Thank you very much. And Arnaud super chatted, says iPhone 10 original or Pixel 3? Oh, come on. I'm the Apple sheep. What do you think I'm going to say? Of course I'm going original iPhone 10. That's not even that different than the phone I have today. And I still think it's better. I think the 2017 iPhone 10 is probably better than the current Pixel 3. 100%. Does a mouse option make sense on an iPad in 2019? There are rumors of them adding the option, but it's an accessibility feature. It's not. Excuse me. It's not rumored to be like a flagship thing, like you'll be able to just pair any Bluetooth mouse to your iPad. I haven't seen a lot of people suggesting that. It sounds like it's something you'll be able to plug in to the USB-C port if you need to, for whatever reason you can't touch the display. But in regards to just adding mouse support, I think that's the day you kill it as a tablet, because that's, to me, the fundamental difference between a MacBook. See, a MacBook's got a keyboard, and an iPad's got a keyboard, which you can connect to it via Bluetooth or through the smart connector. To me, like, the one difference fundamentally between a laptop and a tablet is the dominant interface. Like, do you interact with the touchscreen or do you interact via the mouse? And iPad is touch. It's all in on touch. It's a touch-dominant operating system. That's why I don't even consider the Surface Pro really a tablet, because while they market it as a tablet, in reality, everyone who buys it just buys the little Surface dock connector and uses it with a keyboard and mouse, and then they just use it with They just use it like a laptop would anyway. So at that point, what's the deal? So once you start allowing mouse support, every app developer, every user out there who wants it to be a laptop replacement is just going to convert it into a laptop. And I don't think that's what the iPad is about. The iPad is about being an alternative, not a clone. It's not a laptop clone, which would just be, okay, you use a keyboard, you use a mouse, and then you can just start loading desktop apps onto iOS. I would rather them go off and do something different and focus on how do we redesign pro applications, how do we redesign programs to make them more touch friendly, and make that the fundamental difference between a laptop and a tablet, rather than just giving in and turning it into a laptop. Because really, there are laptops with touchscreens. So once you give mouse support to an iPad, what's the difference? What's the difference between a laptop and a tablet? I don't get it. It just doesn't ship with a keyboard and mouse. But then you have to go out and buy one to utilize all the primary features. I think that would change the whole app market. It would change the whole interface. So personally, I don't think they should give it full-fledged mouse support. But Cypher99 Super Chat, it says, do you follow YouTube drama? Thoughts on James Charles? Yeah, I follow it a little bit. I know that's not tech-related, but I also want to thank real quick Charin for the Super Chat as well, 99 cents. In regards to the drama stuff, I really have no... I have no right to talk on that because I'm the opposite of a beauty channel. I'm the guy who doesn't care. Or you guys can clearly see I don't care about how I look on camera. But yeah, to me it feels very overblown. And you can probably check on Social Blade. James Charles has already started gaining back subscribers after this whole unsubscribe thing. To me, I don't know. It just kind of feels like when people see a channel dropping subscribers very quickly, they all want to kind of dogpile on the meme. So everyone subscribed to him will just unsubscribe anyway, just to give in to the meme, and then come back later and still watch all his videos. Like, do you think all the 1 million, 3 million people unsubscribing are really never coming back, or did they just unsub so that they could watch that counter go down because that's funny? Like, they lead into the meme, but as you can see, he's already gained like 10,000 subscribers or something today. So it's the guy to hate of the month, and then it'll go back to normal and everything goes back to the way it was just a month later. So yeah, I don't really follow it too much. It just, to me, seemed like it was getting blown out of proportion for the sake of, wow, look at these numbers, look at all these subscribers being dropped. Oh my God. Arnaud also super chatted, do you think at WWDC 19 we're gonna have a MacBook? Well, we did get a tiny MacBook refresh last year with the new MacBook Pros. They could do something with the MacBook, but we also got the new MacBook Air in October, so I don't know if they're going to do anything that drastic. I have heard of the 16-inch MacBook Pro redesign with the slimmer bezels and what the next MacBook Pro is going to be, or how it could be the last MacBook to have an Intel CPU, and then after this it'll be moving to Apple silicon chips. But yeah, they might do it at Worldwide Developers Conference, but I haven't heard it that much. In fact, I would lead towards a no. I doubt it personally. I don't think they're going to do one this year, just because, mostly because I've seen the rumors go all over the place now, the leaks and stuff for the 16-inch MacBook Pro. People are like, it's going late 2019, it'll come out in October 2019, or now people are saying, actually, it's been delayed till 2020, or wait a minute, now it's going to be delayed till 2021. It just feels all over the place, which means what's actually happening behind the scenes, what Apple's actually doing internally, is likely they're just talking about it. It's just kind of up in the air, which means there's no way they're going to unveil it in the next couple weeks. So I don't think so. I don't think we're going to get much of an... If anything, it'll be a spec bump. I doubt we'll get actual like MacBook redesign at this event, maybe. The 4th generation butterfly keyboard. This time it won't stick at all. Now the keys aren't sticking anymore. Oh my God. Yeah. Why can't they just ditch the butterfly keys? Seriously. Do people hate the scissor key mechanism that much? Are these that bad? Just put these back, please. Like, the butterfly keyboard is good. Like, I'm fine with the butterfly keyboard. It's just, it's causing so many problems and so many people don't like it that why not just ditch it at this point? Do we hate the scissors mechanisms that much? I wouldn't mind. Should I get an iPhone 10R or the new 11R in a few months? I have a 7 right now. How bad has your 7 aged? If it's unbearable, get a 10R now. If it's somewhat decent and it's getting by just fine, I would wait for the 11R. What month are we in now? We're halfway through May. Sometimes I gotta remember that kind of thing. But yeah, I think we're getting to May, which means 4 months away. 4 months away from the iPhone 11R. Can you use your iPhone 7 for 4 more months? If you think you can, then yeah, just wait. If you can't, it's dying on you. It's crazy. You can't stand it. This thing's driving you nuts. You're ready to throw your phone at the wall. Then yeah, just go ahead, upgrade now. Who cares? I am not just answering people who are super chatting. Just understand that there's almost 300 people watching, so it's not likely I'm going to answer every single question. If I tried to, it wouldn't be an interesting stream. It would just be, it's code on Apple. What are your thoughts on Apple? Oh, guys, pretty good. Should I get an Apple Watch? Yeah, you should. Okay, you guys don't want that stream. Let it be natural. I'm a Twitch verified streamer. Okay, I know how to maintain a chat. Hearing from the leaks of 2019 iPhones will be exactly the same as the 10 and 10s from the front. And I'm using an iPhone 10. I usually upgrade every 2 years, but should I upgrade this year? It's all up to you, dude. It's not. I don't know each of your individual situations. I think personally, there's going to be plenty of people with the 2017 iPhone 10 that don't see it worth it because the primary upgrades with this year's iPhone is going to be camera, main thing, battery, and speed. But speed is not a common problem with flagship iPhones. So if you already have a 2017 iPhone 10, yeah, there's going to be less reasons to upgrade. Though I imagine there's a lot of people not satisfied with the 2017 iPhone 10's battery life, and they either didn't want to get a battery case and just figured, I might as well just upgrade full on. But keep in mind, guys, like it was 10 years before Apple changed like the basic footprint of the iPhone design. The original iPhone had a home button, chin, forehead, display, all the way up till the iPhone 8. You know, the sides of the phone changed a lot. The internal, there were lots of changes, but in regards to the basic footprint in the way the phone looked, chin, home button, forehead, 10 years of that. So we just got a drastic redesign with no home button and more bezel-less design and that notch and the bezels being thinner all the way around. We just got that. So is it likely that within 2 years they're going to drastically change it again? Looking at the iPhone's history, no. The front of the device does not change drastically that much. So that's why I would anticipate why the notch isn't changing that much this year, or why you might not see the shrinkage of the notch or Apple move to a camera hole this year or things like that. It'll happen eventually, but just look in context of iPhone's history, and you may understand why things on the front of the device don't change terribly drastically. Just got a $5 super chat from Joe Thoman. Really appreciate that. No question. But, I think he asked one down here. He says, would you upgrade to the next 10R just for optical zoom? Well, see, I have optical zoom now because I'm more of the 10S Max guy. I'm not using the 10R currently, but I think it depends on the person. I would imagine if you bought an iPhone 10R, you probably don't care that much about optical zoom. So why would the 11R be a compelling upgrade for people? Because people who were buying that didn't really care that much about telephoto lenses. That's why they were getting the 10R. So, I don't know. I don't think so. I personally think the people buying the 11R are not going to be 10R owners. Just like the people who were buying the regular 10S were likely not a lot of iPhone 10 owners. People who were buying the 10S were people who just bought like an iPhone 7, and they usually go every 2 years. So they were like, my iPhone 7 works fine, and then this year came around and the battery life was better and they got some new features, and they were like, okay, this year I'll upgrade or whatever. So similar with the R series of phones, it doesn't make sense for a lot of 10R owners to suddenly buy an 11R because there's not going to be a lot of changes year over year. And that's not because the changes are not big or the changes are not good. It's just because iPhones are aging incredibly well. Yes, guys, you can buy an iPhone, and a year later, it will still be running just fine. and you can get updates over time for free that are going to add probably more noticeable features than a whole upgrade of hardware would, between dark mode or between the volume HUD moving, those kind of changes, which people are going to expect anyway. So we got a super chat from Question Marks who says, what do you think Apple will focus on in iOS 13? The iPad mostly. It sounds like the changes for the iPad are going to be more drastic on iOS 13 than the iPhone will be. So time will tell once the event happens, but it sounds like there's going to be a home screen redesign for the iPad and widget redesign, and they're going to try to make the iPad have more utilizing software to take advantage of that hardware. So I'm curious where they go with that, but yeah. Palash super chat, it says MacBook Air 13-inch Base Pro 2019 CPU upgrades. Well, we got some not that long ago. See, it was in like the last quarter of 2018 where we got the 13-inch MacBook Pro refresh. Whereas quarter 3 of 2018, which means they're not going to do it like in June. So if they are going to do it, I would expect it in like October. So don't get your hopes up that at Worldwide Developers Conference you're going to see some kind of hardware upgrade for the 13-inch MacBook Pro. So what if during the Apple September event the iPhone 11 has a no notch and it would be the first phone with an in-display camera? What would be your reaction? Well, I'd be amazed. I would love it, and I think that would be insanity. But yeah, that's not happening. So Apple Monitor anytime soon? Yeah, we talked about that earlier. We think there's a good chance of it. They've pulled the LG ultrafine monitors for no reason. They're not selling the 4K ultrafines. They're not selling the 5K ultrafine monitors anymore. Why though? They've never gone out of stock before. Why are they suddenly pulling those from the shelves? Probably because they got a new monitor that's ready to launch. So that's what I think it's going to be. So I think we'll expect a little bit of hardware at the Apple event. In terms of just hardware, which company's hardware would you buy? Apple's. What? The Apple sheep likes Apple hardware. I want to buy the iPhone XS smart battery case, and I have a wireless charging stand. Do you know the size of the case? I'm worried I won't be able to use it, the charger with it. Well, here's the great thing about Apple products. They have a return policy. You can get a full refund. If you bought the battery case, turns out it didn't work on your charger, you can just return it. Apple makes this stuff really easy. That's what I'm doing with my Power Beats. This case is enormous. This case is way too big. It probably doesn't showcase how enormous this case is on camera. It's not a good indicator, but my God, this thing is huge. These do not fit in your pocket comfortably at all. They do not fit in your they do not fit comfortably. The headphones are good. The sound quality is nice. It takes a second to get them in your ear, but once you do, it's easy. I've yet to do an audio test. I'm going to soon because after this live stream, we're going to be recording the Tailosive Tech podcast. For those of you who don't know, we do a podcast every week. It's on iTunes or Google Podcasts or SoundCloud, wherever you listen. And when I call them, I'm going to try it with the Power Beats. And they have a very good battery life. There's a lot of good things about these, but the charge case is definitely the Achilles heel here. There's so many problems I have with this case. Mostly the fact that it's huge, and I don't like. You could put it in your pocket, but it's so uncomfortable. Can't put anything else in your pocket with this. You can return any product in the EU, just saying it's a consumer right in any EU country. Well, that's nice, because OnePlus does not have very return-friendly rules. So with the OnePlus 7 Pro, if you decide to buy one, if you want to return it, they will only refund you 85% of the price, which, in case you didn't know, that means if you decide, like, day one, okay, you buy the OnePlus 7 Pro, you try it out. Hey, you know what? I don't like this. I'm going to return it. You're out $100. You're out over $100. So, yeah, if you were considering just trying out the 7 Pro and then returning it later, consider you're not going to get a full refund. That's literally in their return policy. So a lot of people don't know that about OnePlus. Customer service is not as good as Apple or Samsung. Any Apple product, any Samsung product I've ever bought, they support full refunds, which I think is really nice, and that's very convenient, and it encourages the consumer to try it out so they feel like they're not like you go in, you can't get out kind of testing out of the product. You still having demonetization issues? If so, which of your videos still get demonetized? I am not, actually. I think I had like a vlog on my Talks channel, not on the tech channel. Oh, you know what? There was that video about the guy who ate an AirPod. That one got demonetized, but I just took swallow out of the title and I changed it to eat. And then, I was fine after that. Are you sure you're 21 years old? Yes, I'm 21 years old. Yes, I have tweeted my driver's license on my Twitter before. I have literal proof of it. I can promise you I am 21 years old. Do you think you'll ever buy a Tesla one day? I am thinking about that every day, dude. Yes. If all goes according to plan, this is subject to change. But if all went according to plan, I should be buying my first Tesla like at the end of next year financially. If things go well. If things go according to plan, like if my, let's say, for instance, if my income didn't change, my income is exactly the same, which isn't likely because in YouTube world, income fluctuates. It'll go up, it'll go down, it just goes all over the place. But let's just say if I made exactly what I'm making now every single month for a year and longer, for a year and a few more months, then we should be able to buy a Tesla by the end of next year. We're looking at like November 2020, which is good because that's likely when Elon says autopilot will be ready, but that's probably not when autopilot will be ready. But still, I'd love to be part of the Tesla family when those self-driving updates are coming out over time. I'm not expecting it next year, but I'm expecting autopilot to be ready within the foreseeable future. Within like 4 to 5 years, full autonomy will roll out and become legal, and then I'll have a vehicle that's compatible with it. So I'm excited for that. Yes, Android phones typically have a much faster devalue over time. So if you buy phones and sell them so that you can pay for the new one, keep in mind the iPhone is going to hold its value a lot better. When was the first time you broke your phone? I've never broke a phone. I probably would have made a video about it if I did. When I was in middle school, I dropped my iPod Touch. I shattered the glass on it, but I fixed it myself. I took it apart and put it back together. Ordered a replacement glass kit. Other than that, I've never dropped a phone. I've never cracked the glass. Well, I have dropped the phone, but I've never cracked the glass. What I mean by drop is like it's fallen on concrete or it's fallen out of my pocket while laying on the couch or things like that. They're like basic drops. I've never been like in public and dropped my phone on the sidewalk or anything like that. That hasn't happened. I don't get Apple Care and I don't use cases. I just treat my tech nice because it's expensive. I don't jailbreak, no. Do you think Apple will add support for full desktop versions of sites for iPad? You do have that. Just hold the refresh button in Safari. Request desktop site. I do that all the time. I have an identical twin. Do you think iPhone 11 Face ID will be able to distinguish us? Probably not. But I guess they figured they were just going to take the risk with people who have identical twins that also like to hack into their friend's phone. So, yeah, I guess just don't don't keep your phone. If you're worried about your twin getting into your phone, just keep your phone away from them. Did you watch the new TLD Dream Desk? I did. I just watched that a little bit ago. I thought that was real sweet. He gave that guy that awesome Avengers desk. That's really awesome. You should check out John Morrison's latest video. It was a good one. That's a cool desk. Very nice. What type of earbud will be in the box for next year iPhone, in your opinion? Probably the same ones that's in there now. It should be AirPods. That would be cool. But it's probably way too expensive, so they're probably just going to leave in the cheapo buds. There haven't been many rumors for a new iPhone SE in a long time. We're pretty confident that that rumor's dead, and there's not going to be a new iPhone SE. They've kind of abandoned that idea. The question right now is, will the iPhone SE get iOS 13? Some say yes, some say no. We're not exactly sure. Why aren't you answering my questions? Because there's a lot of people talking. See, I answered that question. Oh, we also got a super chat earlier from Palash that said, thanks, man. Keep up the work, attic gang. Let's move back to the attic. We're going to paint all the walls in here green. iPhone 8 Plus or 10R? 10R. My only Apple product is my Apple A12X Bionic iPad Pro. That's not the official name, but I like that you include that. I don't think there's going to be a new iPod Touch. So you're saying even your Pixel videos get monetized? They do, yes. On the tech channel, I've had very few problems with demonetization as of lately. I think they fixed that like drastically when they changed the monetization rules. Back when they first started demonetizing things, it was like everyone, all videos. Even my iPhone 10 review got demonetized. No reason. It wasn't even done uploading by the time they demonetized it. But then they raised the bar and said, okay, you got to have 1,000 subscribers. You got to have 4,000 hours of watch time in order to get monetized. So when that new rule was instigated, I had very, very few problems with demonetization after that. Are you on Discord like FPT? I am active in my Discord every single day. We have a verified, partnered Discord server. I'm talking with fans in there all the time. It's in the description of all my videos, or it's just discord.gg/Tailosive. We have an official URL. It's very easy to join, and I go in there for several hours a day. So yes, I'm very active in my Discord. Use your videos as answers to my friends who are against iOS. Well, I hope you can still remain friends. Don't make things personal. They may be against iOS, but it's for their own personal reasons. That doesn't mean they're wrong. They picked the operating system which is the best choice ultimately for them. Do you think that the new iPhone 11 will be able to record 8K at 60? I doubt it, mostly because Apple understands that the difference between 4K and 8K is so minuscule that it makes no sense to start implementing it into a phone. And also, I just think technologically it's not possible. I don't think they can fit an 8K video camera into an iPhone. And if any company right now says they have an 8K sensor in their phone, they're probably doing some kind of heavy compression, and it's not actually 8K. It's just they scale it up a little bit, or they lie about it a little bit. So I personally don't think it makes sense to have 8K in the phone. But anyway, everyone knows you hate most Pixel phones, but what is the absolute worst thing about Pixel phones? Usually the price. That's typically the worst part about Pixel phones, but that's why I didn't have that much bad to say about the 3A, is the price was very reasonable. And my experience with the Pixel 3A was very, very good. It was very, very happy, and I wouldn't say it was great. It was pretty good. There were a lot of issues I had with it, aside from the fact that it's $400 and they left out certain things, but that's to be expected. But no, I had a decent experience with it. The reason I'm so hard on Pixel phones is, guys, I've been using Pixel products for a long time, and they always go horribly. If you watch my videos, you know why I'm hard on Pixel. I was one of the first buyers of the Pixel 1. When the first Pixel came out, I bought that. When the Pixel Book came out, I bought that. When the Pixel Slate came out, I bought that. When the Pixel 3 came out, I was sent 2. I didn't actually buy them. They were sent to me. But I've had terrible experiences with all of them. So to me, that's where your predetermined bias against a certain brand will come from. My entire review process, my entire channel is based around user experience. This is my experience, so these are my thoughts. I had experiences with the Pixel products. They were not good. That's why I'm hard on them. Exploding Fire Gaming super chatted, who says, do you think the rumored bezel-less iMac will happen in the near future? Do you think people should wait? Right now, I don't. It depends on your definition of near future. If by near future you mean Worldwide Developers Conference, no, there will not be a bezel-less iMac unveiled at Worldwide Developers Conference. Though if there was, I would be very excited. I would totally get it. But there's not a lot of rumors to suggest it. There's not a leak. There's not a lot of leaks suggesting it. We typically know pretty accurately what stuff is going to come out and what's not going to come out. So I would guess that there's not going to be a bezel-less iMac redesign, which, by the way, is barely a rumor. It's more of just a wish list. We haven't seen one report. I've never seen one leaker or one analyst say Apple will release a bezel-less iMac this time period. I've never seen that. All I've seen people say is just the iMac should be redesigned, but I've never seen a leak, though. So I would anticipate if there is going to be one, it's probably not going to be this year. I doubt it. Who is your favorite non-tech YouTuber? Red Letter Media or PewDiePie? I mean, does the chair speak for itself? Your thoughts on the Euclidean hologram table? It's really cool. It's a real hologram that you can work with, and play games on. I'll believe it when I see it. Do you think Apple will refresh the MacBook Air in 2019? Maybe, but likely in October, not at Worldwide Developers Conference. What do you think about the Nintendo Switch Mini rumors? I don't want a smaller Nintendo Switch. I don't want a Nintendo Switch. I'm not a big fan of Nintendo, but if I were to request a different hardware direction for Nintendo to take, I would suggest they go more with a Pro model. Because right now, I think the biggest limitation of the Switch is not that it's too big or it's too bulky. I think it's just a little underpowered in regards to processing power, and the material, the build quality is a little bit low, in my opinion. So I would rather them make like a $500 or $600 Pro model that has a higher resolution display and when docked can support like 4K gameplay. Because right now, to me, that like even the games that are designed to run on the Switch will drop frames in certain parts of the game. That makes no sense to me, and it bugs me that people they love these games, so they buy the Switch so they can play the game, but it can't even handle it at 60 FPS. To me, that's just kind of disappointing. So people have to what do you call it? Emulate the game on their PC to actually get the game to run like a high resolution, high frame rate. So I think it would be better if they focused on like a more pro-oriented model for people who want the high refresh rate, for people who want the high resolution gameplay. But that's just me. I'm not a heavy gamer, so I'm probably not the right person to ask anyway. If or when Apple will implement switching to ARM chips for their Macs, will you be happy or sad or angry? I'll be happy. I've seen the insane speeds Apple's been able to produce with their ARM chips on the iPad Pro. Like an $800 device with the speed of the A12X chip. Holy crap, that's great. Imagine what they could do with a device that's like $2,000. A $2,000 MacBook with an ARM-based CPU. Like, dang. That would be dope. That would be really, really cool. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that because I think Intel is half the problems people have with MacBooks is, this CPU isn't cool enough. It needs more cooling, and Apple's fundamental flaws, they make them too thin, and that makes it hard to cool the CPU. It's like, or you could just make a CPU that doesn't run as hot as the sun. It's possible. You can make chips that don't need to be cooled down that much. Apple's already proving it with the iPad line. It just requires a little bit of a different infrastructure in regards to the software, which Apple's good at, in the hardware. So once they start making their own ARM-based CPUs, I think you're going to see Apple have a whole new level of exclusivity when it comes to processing speed. So when Apple releases the ARM-based MacBook, that thing's going to be so bloody fast, and you won't be able to get that chip anywhere else. It's going to be a whole nother reason to buy a MacBook apart from just macOS. It's now going to be like, you cannot rival this speed. You cannot get a PC with a CPU that's faster for this much. Like, it's just not going to be a thing. So Apple's more about working smarter rather than just throwing in like the hottest CPU ever and then trying to build fan upon fan about cooling system, or just build it better. They don't run x64 CPU software now. We know that. We're just saying they're going to down the road. This is like an open secret. Apple's already like published that they're going to, not officially, but we're very confident that they've said that in the 2020s they're going to start working on their own Mac CPUs. They've been doing it for their iPhones. They've been doing it for the iPads. Anyway, got a super chat here from Raphael. Thank you for the donation. Who says, I'm buying an Apple TV and I'm confused. On the Apple website, there are two versions. Apple TV 4K with an A10X and Apple TV HD with an A8. Why? An A8? Well, it's because running an HD video is very simple. It's not that complicated. It can be handled by an A8 chip. As someone who used the Apple TV, they now call it the Apple TV HD, it's not a complicated, it works fine. The A8 chip is fine. You can run all the apps on tvOS, no problem, on the Apple TV. The Apple TV 4K, they gave it the A10X chip for that added boost of gameplay performance for the people who play games on their Apple TV, but I think they've found out in the long run it's not that big a market. There's not that many people playing games on the Apple TV, so it was probably overkill for the time. But the A8 chip was not capable of handling 4K playback for what the Apple TV was trying to advertise. So they gave it a better CPU, a CPU that was already in production at the time. So they implemented the A10X chip to the Apple TV 4K so that could handle 4K content and the higher resolution kind of stuff like that. So anyway, that's why there's a different CPU chip in the two different Apple TVs. They just need a little more power to handle the higher resolution. But other than that, yeah, the A8 chip is fine. If you don't care about 4K, the A8 chip will do, no problem. Chris Norton super chatted, says, hello, welcome, Knack. Here's my Knack. Ich come back. Thank you for welcoming me. Do you know why Apple doesn't increase the battery capacity of their iPhones like their competitors? At least 3,500 milliamp hours. Pretty ridiculous that iPhones are known for bad battery life. ... Answer. It's because usually Apple cares more about battery efficiency than having a giant milliamp hour. And my battery life has not been significantly horrible with iPhones that people make it out to be. I think it has more to do with, like, iPhones have had great standby time for years. They've been able to work an incredibly low power. So Apple's typical solution to the problem is not just, well, throw more battery at it. And Samsung makes compromises too. While they have big batteries in their phones, they also don't leave the display at full resolution out of the box, which I think is a good idea. I wish iPhones could do that. And Android and RAM management is hard on your battery too. So I know they make the batteries bigger every year, so I don't exactly understand how you can say that batteries aren't getting better. They're getting better over time. They don't just throw milliamp hours at the problem, because that's not the only factor to take into consideration when it comes to battery life. A lot of it's how much power are you using, and Apple's kind of more focusing on how do we minimize the use of power rather than just throw a bigger battery on the inside. And Samsung's also not got the best track record for battery management. The Tech Cousin super chat, it says, everyone play Get Out of the Room Space. I made it. All right, there's your shout out. Thank you for the donation. If Apple is able to reduce the difference through software, why should they throw more at it? Reduce the difference through software, why should they throw more at it? Well, I guess because battery life is something that's infinitely improvable. You can never have too much. Even that Energizer phone, eventually you'll run out. But I don't know. It has probably something like... But you notice that the XS, even though it has a smaller milliamp hour, it has a longer battery life. It's because they're focusing on things like watt hours and the low power stuff. So that's kind of more Apple's angle to solving problems. The iPhone XR is the best battery life in every iPhone, and we're supposed to get even better batteries this year. So they're constantly trying to improve it. It's just not as basic of a solution as Android companies just like, and bigger battery, and bigger battery. I have a friend with the Razer Phone 2. He has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. His battery life is not very good. It ends very quickly, probably just because of the 120 hertz display, but still. That's just an example of milliamp hour does not equal better. You can have a better battery life with less milliamp hours. It depends on how much the phone uses. Do you prefer wireless charging or fast charging? Hello, welcome to Tailosive Tech. Clearly you've never watched my videos. I prefer wireless charging, inductive charging as we should really call it. I don't care about fast charging. I don't see the appeal because to me, damages the lithium over time. I still have 100% battery health on my XS Max, and I charge it exclusively inductively. And I know people that fast charge their XS Max, and they're already experiencing battery degradation. And to me, it's more convenient. I don't like dealing with wires. I don't like cables. So if I can avoid using a cable, I will. So that's why it's nice that when I'm done using my phone, I can just drop it. It's charging now. Boom. By the way, it's at 100 because I have Qi chargers all over the house. So whether I'm on the couch, on my bed, in my office, I can just drop it wherever it starts charging. Still remember when you washed your Pixel 3? Oh, yeah, that was fun. Exactly. See, S10 Plus, they increase the battery capacity from S9 Plus, and look at the difference. Yes, I know. Phone batteries get better over time. What? Impossible. And I didn't say milliamp hours have no correlation. I just said that's one factor. You can increase the battery life of a product without just throwing more milliamp hours. Apple's proved that. Do you think USB-C should replace the 3.5 millimeter jack? Sure. Yeah. I don't think the headphone jack should stay. I think we got to move away from that and move either to complete wireless, and I'm just talking about the consumer market. I'm not talking about the pro market. But do you think the Galaxy Fold will be canceled like James Charles? No, it sounds like Samsung issued a statement saying they think they fixed the problems with it, which I think they probably fixed 2 problems and created 5 more. But yeah, I think the Galaxy Fold will come out, but it's going to have even more problems once it gets into the hands of everyday people. But what are your thoughts on the Galaxy S10? Well, why don't you go watch my Galaxy S10 review? I did a whole video on it. I haven't been using a headphone jack for a while now. Me neither. No need. There's no point. When would Apple Fold release? Not anytime soon. Hopefully never. Do you charge your phone overnight, Drew? If it needs to. If I'm going to bed and my phone battery's low, it's at like 20 or 10%, then I'll drop it on the Qi charger. But sometimes I have Qi chargers everywhere, so by the time I go to bed, it's at like 90 or 100. So on those days, I'll just not leave it on the charger. I'll just leave it on the nightstand. I won't charge it. Do you think Apple will stop making devices and totally move to software in a few years, maybe 10 years? No. It's still like, 60, 70% of their profit? I think they're going to launch a lot of services and they're going to make a lot of software, but the software makes very little money. Services make money. Software doesn't. Hardware makes money for Apple. Selling iPhones, iPads, Macs, which all run software, but they don't sell software. iOS updates are free. macOS updates are free. The only software they sell are services, which that's a different discussion. So, no, I think Apple's going to keep producing keep producing hardware for a very long time, probably until they're dead. If you had to switch, would it be OnePlus 7 Pro with wireless charging or S10? Wait till I get the 7 Pro, and then I'll tell you. But, yeah, S10 was a pretty great experience for an Android phone. So, yeah, I'd be pretty close on those. I think the OnePlus 7 Pro is going to have a lot of compelling features that are going to make me want to switch over, but the S10 might have them beat with the build quality and the water resistance and the lack of a motorized camera and the wireless charging. The S10 Plus might be a better experience. We'll see. Though I do like 90 hertz. I'm interested in that. Anyways, we have been live for about an hour now, which for those who don't watch the live streams regularly, this is usually when we wrap it up. However, as this is the end of the live stream, this is not the end of live content. I hope you guys understand that. I go live almost every other day. Sometimes things change, but I go live very, very regularly over on my Twitch page, which for those of you who don't know about it, Twitch is a live streaming dominant app. So I'm going to do this on YouTube occasionally, not regularly, but I just want to give the YouTube viewers a little taste of live content. Did you ask a question a lot and it never got answered? Did that frustrate you? Well, the Twitch streams usually are a lot smaller, so getting your question answered is a lot more likely. So I'm pasting my Twitch link in the chat. If you want to follow me over there, if you don't have a Twitch account, please make one. There's also a very, very handy feature over on Twitch, which allows you to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and support me for free. That's right, free money. If you want to help me out, you like my content, you have Amazon Prime, link it with your Twitch account and subscribe to my channel with Twitch Prime. It's very simple. If you don't know how to do it, just Google it. It's like a 4-step process. And basically, free money comes out of nowhere. It costs you nothing except I get paid, which is very, very helpful for me. You can also watch ads over there and earn bits and donate bits. So there's a lot of advantages to watching me over on Twitch, which I will be live on much more regularly. So please click the link in the chat. Make sure you follow me over there so you'll be notified next time I go live and we can chat more in the next live stream. Also, last couple super chats. Ted Cohen says Apple AirPods 3 noise cancellating. That's been a rumor. We don't know it for sure, but I think that's a good direction for Apple to go in because a lot of people appreciate noise canceling. So, yes, I think it's most likely going to happen on the next generation AirPods. And then O2O's donated £2 and said Premiere Pro versus Final Cut. Final Cut is more for speed and optimization. Premiere Pro is more for customization. So I've used Premiere Pro for about 6 years, and then I switched to Final Cut just because it's a lot faster. And for me, speed was more important. As someone who's producing 2 to 3 videos a day, Final Cut is much, much faster. It is free to get Prime if you do the free trial. You get 30 days, create an Amazon Prime account, try Prime, subscribe with Twitch Prime to my Twitch account, and then cancel your Prime membership. There you go. It is free. Problem solved. But yeah, it all comes down to what you want to do. Premiere Pro is also a monthly subscription, whereas Final Cut is a down payment. That's what I like about it. You get software updates to Final Cut for life for one easy payment. If you get the education bundle, it's only $200, and then you own it for life. You're good. There's no more payments, whereas Adobe Premiere, if you go with Creative Cloud, you're going to easily end up spending $15, $20, easily like $30, $40 a month just to use the Creative Cloud suite of apps. And Premiere Pro is not as fast in regards to exporting, optimizing hardware as Final Cut is on Mac. So if you don't care much about export times and optimization and you just want the most options, Premiere is probably the way to go. But if you don't need like a billion different options to tinker and you just want to do simple editing, like all my videos are edited in Final Cut, that's probably the better option. So I think Final Cut has a ton of benefits to it. That's why I use it. But people in the film industry who edit like big movies, they probably use things like Premiere. Or use DaVinci Resolve because that is free and it has a ton of options as well. Keep in mind, DaVinci Resolve, incredibly underrated. LumaFusion is also good if you're on iOS. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you follow me over on Twitch. Make a free Amazon Prime account. Sub with Twitch Prime. And then delete the account if you'd like. Whatever. It just helps me out. It goes a long way. And I'd very greatly appreciate it. See you guys later. Bye-bye.